Hello, everyone, and welcome to Every Day's a Train Wreck with Marley Major. And I've got an amazing guest that I have actually been trying to get on for quite a while. And I'll tell you, it's not easy getting these TV people into the studio, or the proverbial studio. But I have got somebody amazing with whom I have worked. And Phil, I want you to jump in and give us the deets. Give us the story as we spill the tea on your background, where you are now, what you can talk about and what you can't.
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, I want. That's why I'm intentionally leaving your fabulosity up to you, because for those of you who can't see, if you're just listening to the podcast version, you're going to want to check out some kind of snippet on social media, because Phil has come to us live from his robe, and I could not make this up nor script this or stage it if I had to. So I want Phil, an international megastar status. You tell us your last name if you're allowed to do that, and what station you work for, and you just jump right in. We're going to have a lot of fun.
We're going to do it right now. There, Phil Berman, Esquire. We're just going to do it like that.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, I love it. That's why it's called Every Day's a Train Wreck, because there's so much.
So I'm Phil Berman. I'm a producer and guest booker at KCBS KCAL News in Los Angeles. I've been there for about 12 and a half years. And if you want, I can later or anytime we can kind of go through how I got here and where I've been. The robe, I don't know why, but I have I love robes and I love hoodies. And anytime you see me, 99% of the time, I'm going to have a hoodie. I have probably 36 hoodies in my closet that I just rotate through. But it's weird because I usually wear the same 5, and the others are just sit there.
Equivalent of with the chicks in their closet, we have
True.
closets full of stuff, but we only wear however many,
That's
key
it.
items.
And one of my dear friends, I said something I have to bring a hoodie. And they're like, well, it's your uniform. I'm like, it basically is. It's a hoodie and joggers. And it's because I'm running around our building all day, every day, bringing in guests and running people around the building. And so when I get home from work, I immediately put on my robe. I sometimes take a nap because I get home early enough. Yeah. And I asked, in full disclosure, I asked Marley, I said, are we on video? Can I wear my robe? And she goes, you absolutely should wear the robe. So that's where that came from.
Full disclosure, I was robe encouraged. Even better if you take the t-shirt off underneath it as we go and you drink shots of Jaeger. But I'm going to, we'll leave that off for now. But Phil, when you say, okay, you're wearing a hoodie or the robe, to me, I immediately go to that's the equivalent of your friend said it was your uniform. To me, I immediately go to, oh, it's your blankie. Right?
It is. It's like a safety blanket. It is. Yeah.
And then both of them kind of have collars. So they're protect.
Right.
I wonder how.
I don't know why it's a thing, because I think people I like to travel a lot and we can get there too. But I when you wear a hoodie, you can kind of on the plane, you can put it up and just no one will talk to you. And I like that sometimes.
Well, yeah. In your world, I'm sure you're very sick of people talking to you, because if they're talking to you, they're Phil, can you? Yeah. And so then I wonder, were you a C-section baby, or did you come out? How did it work? Because maybe you have that's why you want to be all covered and protected
I don't know.
up.
Listen, if napping or if sleeping was an Olympic sport, I'd win the gold. 100%. Just relaxing in bed. I just could lay there all day and just think and be alone with my thoughts in the quiet. And I just love that so much.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm going to get the silver. I'm right there with you. And I think that Albert Einstein was big on naps too. I know a lot of people make fun of naps.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he was a big one for the naps. To me, sometimes it's the only way that my brain will calm down. And sometimes I can barely even have it be a nap. It's almost I have my eyes closed and it's kind of like a quasi meditation, but I do feel I'm sort of eliminating emptying the cache on my computer. That's how I feel.
True.
It's sort of
absolutely true.
With resetting. So we met obviously doing a live segment. We've done more than one on CBS. And I just love your world, the job you do. And first of all, it's super impressive to me because you have people that are always trying to get your attention. They're always book me. And then they get there and they can be really high maintenance. Tell us some juicy stories. You probably can't say exactly who did what, but what are some of your own train wrecks that have happened over there?
I can tell you how I got here. If you,
let's start there.
So I went to college. I graduated in 2002 from University of South Florida in Tampa with a mass comm degree and a leadership minor.
Leadership
Exactly.
minor. Didn't even know that was a
I
thing.
know. And so I wanted to be an anchor. I always wanted to be on TV.
Well, here you
And
are.
so that's what I did. My first job was in Greenville, Mississippi, which is market 182 or was 182. For people who don't know what TV markets are, they go in order from highest population to lowest population. So there are like 212 TV markets across the country. New York is number one, LA is two, Chicago, and then it just, like Atlanta, San Francisco, Dallas, they're all in the top 10. So Greenville was 182. So that gives you an idea of how tiny this town was. And I worked there for about a year and a half. I left there. I went to Sarasota, Florida. I was at the ABC station. I was there for about a year and a half.
Now, wait, pause. What markets are those? I mean, what numbers?
Sorry. Okay, so Greenville, again, 182. Sarasota is officially market 13 because it's grouped in with Tampa. However, they consider it like a 110.
Oh.
Because it's like officially 13, but like it's a small market. It's like 110. Medium market, I guess. And then I decided that in my career, when I wasn't, I don't want to say learning, but when I just didn't feel like I was being challenged anymore, I'd be like, I got to go. I got to move up. And one of my former anchors in Sarasota always taught me, she said, go as high as you can, as fast as you can. And so I left Sarasota a year and a half after that. I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
Why in the world would I end up in Tulsa, Oklahoma is because
what number?
60. I think 60.
I can see why. I mean, you went down by 50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went there because one of my mentor told me, she's like, I would take the job because I was just applying everywhere and I didn't have a spouse. I didn't have kids, pets. Like it was just me. So she's like, Tulsa's great. It's the middle of the country, kind of Midwesty, Midwestern. And, you can learn a lot there. And like, building your resume, it looks good if you're in different parts of the country. So, kind of.
See, I didn't even, you know what? I didn't even think about that because that's right. Because so many times it's like, oh, New York and LA. And when we're in New York and LA, we think we own the world. But then you realize, oh my gosh, there's really need to talk. There's an entire country. And by the way, they think very differently.
Listen, I signed a 3-year contract thinking I'd be out in 2 years. I loved it so much. I stayed for 5. And sometimes I'm not under contract right now. I don't know a lot of companies that have contracts for producers anymore. That's mainly for anchors and on-air talent, but this was with Scripps, and Scripps is still around. And I signed a 3-year contract with them. Again, I signed the contract with Scripps, not necessarily the stations. So Scripps has stations all across the country. So technically, I was like, I don't know if I can stay in Tulsa more than 2 years. I was like, maybe I would just move on to another Scripps station or another Scripps property because Scripps also, I don't know, I'm sure they still do, but it was like Food Network, HGTV, like all that. So I could technically still do that and still be under my contract. Anyway. Long story short, I stayed for almost 5 because I just absolutely love the city and love the people. I still have dear friends in there. Your publicist.
I was going to say, Diane White.
That is actually how we connected is through Diane in Tulsa because I met her when I was there. I knew her when I was there.
And she's probably told me that. And freaking that woman has made, and she's been on this podcast before and I love having her on because it's like she talks fast and we get right to it. And if somebody doesn't, they can listen to it on like slow speed. But no, this is a fast moving train here, Phil. But that's right. That's how Diane, my publicist, connected. And that woman, I swear to you, can knit a sweater together out of the most disparate pieces of yarn. So
just a lovely individual. And so after almost 5 years, there was an opportunity to move up, to be promoted to an executive producer because I was just a show producer. And I don't know why, but I was kind of just thinking like, what if, because not to sound conceited, but that job was basically going to be mine if I wanted it because I was the logical person to have that job. And I thought to myself, I'm like, do I even want to stay? I'm like, what if I want to move on? And so I just started contacting people that I knew in the industry and one thing led to another. And I ended up interviewing at the CBS station in Miami, WFOR, which I grew up on. Like I watched the station. And so I went through like 3 interviews. I got the job, started there in July of 2010.
Yeah.
And I was there for 2.5 years. How I got the job in Los Angeles is a great story.
Because you went from Miami to Los Angeles?
Yes.
So what number is Miami?
Miami was 16. It could be like 17 or 18 now, but it was 16.
Okay.
And I honestly thought I'd stay there. Like my family was there, my friends I went to high school. Like I grew up in South Florida. So I'm like, I'm going to stay here forever.
I just came back from Miami because my daughter's looking at University of Miami for the business school. And
Great
she
school.
freaking, yeah,
Fantastic.
boy, she loved it.
Pricey.
Love.
Pricey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the alternative is Georgetown. So, it's not like we got a discount bargain basement situation there either. But tell us, how'd you get to LA?
So I was actually on vacation, and there's a whole story behind that, but just I was on vacation. And
I want to hear the vacation story.
Okay. So
I
always say it's not anything crazy, but I always say I got this job because Whitney Houston died. And it's a great tease, right?
Hello. Thank you, Marley Major, Interviewer of the Year, for asking. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, if you want to hear it. So Whitney Houston died February of 2010. And it was a Saturday night. I was sitting on my couch. I got the buzz on my phone, and I looked up. I'm like, I literally blinked my eyes, and I'm like,
what? Yeah.
What? And I called my station, and the producer who was working is like, thank you for calling. I have no idea what to do. What do I do? And I said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a clip of Greatest Love of All. You're going to say, the greatest, voice of our generation. Like I'm literally reading to her a script from my mind.
And this is before AI. So this is even more significant.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And so she did the show. It was fine. I walked in Monday afternoon to do my job, and my news director said, I didn't mean to get involved. She goes, no, thank you so much for doing it, because she had no idea what was going on. Someone in our promotions department saw that I was putting in a lot of Whitney Houston stories in my show that week. It's a huge deal.
And by the way, on that note, I did not realize, I think Whitney Houston's album is one of the Bodyguard one is supposedly one of the top albums of all times.
Yes.
I mean, it's a terrific song. I was like, wow, sweet Jesus. Yep. I didn't realize that.
And so I was just putting in Whitney Houston stories wherever I could. And one of our promotions people said, Entertainment Tonight has a lot of good content that I'm sure they'd give you access to if you would run a tease. So they just started sending me stuff. And so I just threw anything in that I could. And at the end of February, I got a call from the director of affiliate relations for Entertainment Tonight, who's not there anymore, but I'm still dear friends with. And he basically thanked me. He goes, our ratings in Miami spiked during February. I don't know if it's because of you or not because of you, but we're going to. Of course it was because of you. Clown. And all the stuff you put in and helped us. And he goes, listen, if you're ever in Los Angeles, I would love to give you a tour, show you around. We're on the lot at CBS Studio Center where they tape all the shows. And I'd love to show you around. I booked my ticket that day.
I'm sure you did.
I did.
Like
and I said, I'm actually going to be there in August in a few months.
Imagine.
So I called him back. I'm like, I'm going to be in town in August. And I went August of 2010. I was in LA. My best friend lived here back then as well. I stayed with him. I went to the Entertainment Tonight for a tour. We were on the set of Entertainment Tonight watching Entertainment.
Died?
No one died. It was the day that Phyllis Diller died. I was sitting in the Entertainment Tonight newsroom, and that was crazy seeing them, because Entertainment Tonight tapes in the morning. I think it's 10:30 in the morning, and this happened at noon. And so they had to literally scramble to redo the show. And so I'm sitting there, and they're all doing this, whatever. And the guy who I was on this tour with, who was showing me around the lot, he said, hey, do you guys mind if we go over to KCBS KCAL? Because I have to pick up a book from the news director. And I'm like, do I have to? Because we're sister stations with the station I was working at. So I didn't want it to get back to anyone back home.
Right.
I was at that station. Why would I be there? So I was like,
Phyllis Diller doesn't die every day.
He's like, come over. So we went over to the station where I now work, and we met the boss, the guy who hired me, the news director. And basically we were just chatting, and he's like, what do you do? I said, I'm a producer in Miami. He said, what station? I said, WFOR. He goes, oh, our sister station. He goes, how do you like your news director? And he goes like this. He's like, how do you like your news director? And I'm like,
oh boy,
she's great. Why? I'm like, oh, I'm just texting her, telling her you're in my office.
Oh God. That's like something that would happen to me. Oh Lord. That's no.
I'm like, no.
No.
Long story short, he was just kind of, I don't know if he was half joking or what, but he's like, have you ever thought about working in Los Angeles? And I said, absolutely, all the time. No, I'd never thought about working in Los Angeles. I was planning to live in Miami for the rest of my life. And so he didn't really offer me a job, but he's like, when you get back to Miami, we should seriously talk. And I said, sure. I got back to Miami the following Monday, I
You
walked into my
landed at gate 42 and said,
Right.
hi, by the way, I'm back. No, I'm just kidding.
walk into my news director's office, and she said, "So tell me what I already know." And I said, I was not looking for a job. I was on vacation, ended up at the right place, right time. She goes, "Did he offer you a job?" I said, "No, he has not offered me a job." I said, "We discussed it, but no offer."
Yeah.
So she goes, "Okay, well, if and when he does, I'm the first to know." I said, "The second after me, but yes, you'll be the second to know." And 2 months later, he offered me a job.
Okay, now pause on that moment. Did they look at that as like poaching? I mean, which
Yes.
did,
Yes.
oh, really? Okay, so
Yeah,
just because it's a sister station, it doesn't matter. They're like, whatever. It's
I mean, it depends because, if you want to go on your own free will, great. But he was the one who kind of escalated this whole thing.
Yeah.
And when he actually had a phone conversation with my boss at the time, he said, I'm taking him. And she said, "No, you're not." And then it was on at that point because he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to get him."
Oh,
and
boy.
Since he was news director of Market 2 and she's news director of Market 16, he has the upper hand in that.
He sure does by a lot.
So basically offered me a job. And last weekend of November, I was driving out here cross country with my mom and all my stuff. She wanted to go on the trip with me. And I started here December of 2012
Which is
as a show producer.
Which is a long time to be at to be at a particular news station in LA.
Well, not just that, but before this, my longest job was in Tulsa, just under 5 years. I'm now at 12 and a half here. And what keeps me here, I'm always challenged. Every day is a different challenge. And I started off, as I said, as a show producer. And then about, 5 or 6 years in, we always had a guest booker at the station. It basically was a glorified production assistant that was basically just like booking guests, checking emails, and doing all that.
Okay, now pause. For people who aren't totally familiar with the lingo, so tell us what a guest booker is. Yeah, no worries.
A guest booker basically gets emails from and sends emails to publicists, agents, managers for celebrities, newsmakers, politicians, celebrity party planners.
Yay!
Anybody that you want on the show.
Right.
And we always had, again, a production assistant to do this until one day he took a job as a reporter at some station in Arizona.
Now, why, by the way, just pause on that note. Why would he do that?
Well, he wanted to be a reporter. So he got an on-air job. Sorry.
Oh, so you go from back of the house to front of the house.
He wanted to be on air.
Got it. Okay.
So again, I did the opposite. I was on air and then I'm like, I don't like this. I'm off air now.
Yeah, I'd want to wear my robe. Yeah.
Didn't like it. Or exactly. So, I can look like this sitting in the station and I'm not on air.
Yeah.
So we didn't have anyone doing it. And one of my dear friends to this day was the publicist for Olivia Newton-John. And for people who don't know that, Olivia Newton-John was a legend.
Who the hell does not know who Olivia? If you don't know
Olivia people.
Okay, well, then
some young people have no idea who that is.
Yeah, that is extremely unfortunate. And then get like Pictionary or Trivial Pursuit or whatever for real life, because Olivia Newton-John is like the original Grease. They've seen. Okay, that's huge. Okay, keep going. Wow, so, that's a big publicist.
It is. Emailed me and he said, "I'm going to have Olivia at The Talk," which The Talk was a CBS show that just finished in December.
Yeah.
And they are were on the same lot as we are now.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm going to have her at The Talk. We finish at 12. Do you want us to come over and be on your noon show?" And I said, "Let me check." And so I asked my boss, I'm like, "Do you want me to book Olivia Newton-John for next Wednesday?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So
and Olivia Newton-John, if we're talking about it wasn't like she was 12 years old. I mean, she was Olivia Newton-John.
Right. This is 2017.
I mean, which is
18. Yeah.
Okay. That's
huge name. So she goes, "Sure." So from that day on, I said, I wasn't the guest booker. I just booked the guests.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense. And so I was always producing a show and also doing guests for the other shows.
By the way,
volunteered to do.
Yeah.
It fell in my lap. It was great. I was good at it. I became really good at it. And I'm like, let's just do it.
Because they never filled the position, I'm assuming, from the guy who went to Arizona. So now they're like, I've got a twofer. I've got Mr. behind the scenes in his robe, and then he's in his robe. Hey, but can you be on the show? Okay, got it.
That's what I did.
All right.
And so that's what I was doing until fall of 2022, when they announced that they were going to launch a 7-hour morning show on KCAL, on our other station, Channel 9. And they needed a guest booker full-time for those shows. And they came to me and they said, would you not want to produce a show anymore and be a full-time guest booker and produce the guest segments as well? And I said, absolutely 100%.
No, but wait, what's the difference between what you were doing before?
Okay, I was producing shows. So like basically I would produce the 11 a.m. or the noon. You basically produce a show. In addition to that, I would be doing guests. Now it's just guests full-time for multiple shows, many shows.
Oh, got it.
And produce those segments, just those segments. So no longer a show.
Got it.
And 2.5 years later, here we are.
Wow. So it sounds to me like everything with you just kind of kept falling in your lap. I mean, that's what happens with good people.
You just have to be persistent. You have to have a drive. You have to have a passion. You have to be nice. You have to have a candy bowl on your desk, always filled with chocolate. And you never burn your bridges, always be open to opportunities. And you know what? A little bit of luck as well.
Well, the other thing too, I like when you say you have to be nice, because it's really amazing to me. Like, well, first of all, that you're one of the nicest and you're on the other side, right? Because a lot of times, I mean, I've done little markets, big markets, national markets, international. It's amazing. Sometimes the biggest bookers are literally the nicest people. Like I can think of another one that is super sweet to me, similar to you. But then what's so interesting is I've also had some of them where it's like they're asking me to be on, right? Like, I mean, in your case, I'm always begging you to be on. But in this case, they were actually begging my publicist. And then they'll be freaking brats or they'll be totally rude. And I'll be like, oh my God, maybe they didn't like me because they were really, or not they, but like the person.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, no, that person has a reputation. They do that with everyone. And I'm just like, I guess there's enough people that just want to be on TV. That doesn't matter. But it is so much easier when somebody's nice, because then that's why it was making me bug you to be on my podcast. Not that you're going to get like a, Quaker Oats commercial out of it. You never know. And I'm like, okay, I want to do cool stuff with Phil because Phil is cool. I like chatting with you. You're appreciative
always.
Of when I'm on there. It's like you always get more opportunities, but I don't think you ever get more opportunities when you're a witch. It's just really interesting. What percentage of news people do you think, like either in front of the camera or behind the camera, are actually genuinely nice?
Where I work? I mean, generally, like
your station, everybody's really nice to me.
But I don't know. There have been such a small number of people that I've encountered that are just like not good people throughout my career. I mean, I wouldn't say where I am now because everyone really, we have a great team. We really, really do. And everyone really, I think, I mean, obviously there's always conflicts and always personalities, but genuinely, I think everyone is just there to do a good job. We're not about drama. I think another thing is if you have a great attitude, not just in this business, but in just in life, you can get so far with a great attitude. Because if you have a great attitude and you're willing to learn, that's 95% right there. So I wouldn't say that there's like, I don't think I've come across, I mean, maybe a handful of people that I could be like, I did not like this person. They were not nice.
Yeah. And that means like in your world, but not as guests. We're not talking about guests right now.
Correct.
Okay. So now I love you guys missed that his eyes just like lit up like a Christmas tree. So now let's chat for a second about guests.
Okay.
We don't want to, but just kind of in general, or what percentage? Okay. So I'm just going to toss out, since we started this episode with numbers, I'm going to ask you, let's talk numbers. So what percentage of guests would you say are like nice, like just nice and gracious and great to work with?
It would be in the mid to high 90s.
Awesome. Okay.
And the reason is, I'll tell you why.
Because you're so nice in your robe? No,
not that. Well, that too. But when you're coming into the CBS building, when you're coming into our house, it's almost kind of like, why wouldn't you be nice? I mean, there are people that we've had that were cordial, and maybe like, I wouldn't want to go to brunch with them, but, they were nice to me and, good to work with. But yeah, again, I can count people on one hand who were just not nice people.
Okay. So let's take that for a second. So when you say the cordial ones, now, I'm not going to ask you who it was, but because I know you won't answer, but I would try. But when you're saying cordial, because sometimes people in different industries, like let's say, I don't know, I'm totally making this up. So no hate mail, please. But like, engineers, or you're interviewing a computer science person, whatever, they might not be the warmest, most friendliest because they're not used to being on TV kind of thing, right? Or does cordial fall into like, oh, they were just cordial because they're an A-list celebrity and they think they're really amazing?
Yes. I mean, there's, I can think of some A-list celebrities who, I mean, they were nice to me and, but again, I wouldn't.
They were fine.
They were fine. Having a conversation may have been tricky, but also, listen, we recently had an A-list celebrity on who I just absolutely love and adore and was so lovely. And afterwards, the anchor of the show said, I think that person is very insecure. And I said, how did you get that? And they said, because they wouldn't look at me in the eyes. They were looking all over during the interview. And I'm like, that's really telling. And I'm like, maybe that's why. So again, may not be me, may not be us, but it may be them. Like, you're the problem, it's you kind of thing.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
And then, okay, going back to percentages, what percentage of A-list celebrities, let's say that you've had or that you've encountered, do you think are insecure? Because I know a lot of people think that if you're an A-list celebrity, or you're a model, or you're in front of the camera, whatever, that you're the most confident person on the planet. But that's not always the case. True.
And I didn't realize that until she brought that to my attention.
So and I know, like, I can think of one event we did, for example, this one singer who I just love, and she did this live kind of impromptu performance. Everybody was just like, holy cow. But she was, I found out later, super shy, very much an introvert.
100%. Yes,
that made her totally uncomfortable. She did it because she wanted to help this charity out and the whole thing. But I had no clue, and I was like, no way, you would never know. And so, do you think that's common, or do you think most of them really do think they're the cat's meow?
Both.
And why do you think it is? Because they're under scrutiny for their looks or their talent so much, or?
I don't know why. Like, it's so weird because you'll meet people who are so dynamic on camera or film, and then in person, they're just very shy. We had someone I'm trying to think who it was, but the publicist, I know who it was. The publicist told me, she goes, I just want to give you a heads up. When she gets here, she's very shy and, doesn't like to, shake hands or whatever. It's not you. It's because she has an illness, like a disability, and she can't get sick. So she'll try to keep her distance. So she's not a diva, just letting you know that that's what it will be. And again, when she came in, she could not have been any nicer. So
let's talk about looks, because one thing that fascinates me is how you see somebody on camera in a magazine or online or something, and you're like, oh my God, they're so beautiful or so handsome. But then it's crazy because some of them, like, I know in real life, or I see in real life, and they are not as good looking. And I swear to you, it's not that it's the makeup or the light. It's like, and there are certain actresses that this has been said about, where they're just super photogenic, right? And then you see them in person and they just have this it factor. Do you think that really exists? Or are you kind of like, hey, listen, if they're beautiful in person, they're beautiful on camera?
I mean, like physical beauty, I think.
Yeah, well, like how they come across. Let's pretend the volume was off.
So your question is, are they?
Like, I think some people's features translate better to being on camera. Like, I don't know what it is. The sum of their parts looks better on camera. Like, or a supermodel, for example. You might see them in real life and they kind of look gangly, but on camera, in print, they just look freaking amazing. It's like their bone structure, how it translates, just seems to be different. Well, if you have to think about it, we already know the answer, that you're like,
I don't know. I mean, I've seen everyone and everything. I've literally seen people walk in with no makeup on, and then they have their whole glam teams arrive.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like, I can tell you right now, Eva Longoria is one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. She's just, in person, she's absolutely stunning. And again, there have been many people that I've met, but I don't know why she just sticks out. And I've met her several times. And
do you think it's skin? I have a thing about skin.
I think it's her skin.
Thank you. Yes.
It has to be, because I met her when I was in Miami 12 years ago. I met her 3 years ago when she was on our show. She was just on our show last year again. So every time she's just stunning.
And I've heard she's really nice too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
One of the sweetest people. And listen, here's what I say. The bigger they are, the nicer they are.
So I agree with you with very few exceptions. Very
few exceptions.
Who do you think is another one who's just so nice? Like maybe even one that we wouldn't expect would be so nice.
I don't even, I mean, like, go through my Instagram. Like, it's funny because I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to know who I've met, just go through my Instagram.
Yeah.
For listeners, it's at your Phil of Phil. And it's at YOUR FILL of PHIL.
I love
so, like,
that.
I'll go through it. I mean, like, who's really, really sweet? But, like, I want to do names that people would know. Toni Braxton was lovely. Was absolutely lovely. Drew Barrymore was lovely.
Pause on Drew Barrymore for a minute. Did she try to get too close to you? That's the big thing.
No, I tried to get close to her.
Did she shun you or how'd it go?
No, she was, well, listen, virtually met her.
Yeah.
Because we did a live Zoom interview with her for her show. And so I checked her in and I'm like, one of my favorite movies is Never Been Kissed. And I said, you've never been to our station. I said, you've never been to the broadcast center on the West Coast. Because
so you were going to close her.
And so I'm like, listen, I said, the next time you're in town, she goes, yeah, why have we never been to the broadcast center? And so she still has never been, but I went to a taping of Hollywood Squares and a friend was working on it and I met her there. And so she was absolutely lovely. Katy Perry was absolutely lovely.
Full, like such a small world story. So I think it's her manager, I guess. I have to Google his exact position. But anyway, he and I went to grammar school together. And I remember seeing, and I was like, what the, like, talk about like who makes it in life from grammar school? I mean, nicest guy from grammar school.
Of course.
But I was like, if you had told me then, oh, this guy is going to go on, he's going to be managing freaking Katy Perry and like, hello. It's like, I want to interview somebody who like went to high school with Scooter Braun or went to grammar school. So I want to know what he was like. Yeah, Katy Perry. And she seems really cool. She seems like just like fun. Like she'd be fun to hang out with.
She was so cool. She was lovely. And I'm just looking down because I'm looking more at my phone to see who. Do you know who was lovely? Marsha Cross.
Yes. You know what? When I was in the restaurant business, and I kind of still am, but ancillary, she used to come in actually quite a bit and she was super nice. She signed a menu, the whole thing. And talk about beautiful skin. Very curious what you think now, but gorgeous skin. When did you have her on last?
God, she was on last year sometime. She was doing a show at the Ruskin Theater in Santa Monica, a small little community. I think it seats like 40 people.
Really?
And she was in this play and I'm like, we've got to have her on. And she was lovely. Kristen Bell was lovely.
They just are loving. They are loving Phil.
Terry Hatcher was lovely. I think all the Desperate Housewives were lovely. Alan Cumming was lovely.
That's interesting. I wonder why all the Desperate Housewives.
You know what?
What?
They were all lovely. All of them. Jennifer Aniston is one of the most warm, lovely people I've ever met in my life.
God bless me. I have a girl crush on Jennifer Aniston.
To know that, like, how big she is and how, like, megastar. She could not have been lovelier.
Really? That's awesome to hear. And I've heard, like, through people that know her, you know, through their friend sets that, you know, she has a very close friend set and she is, like, super psycho loyal to them. Like, they've got their little posse and yeah, that's very cool. I go back to Drew Barrymore seems to me like somebody who would be just so fun to hang out with because it just seems like anything could come out of that girl's mouth.
100%. And it does.
Like, I mean, so did she say anything racy when you were interviewing her?
It wasn't like I was with her for like 4 minutes. I mean, I had her sign my Never Been Kissed DVD because she said she would.
Awesome.
When I met her, when I was on the Zoom with her, she's like, bring the DVD the next time you see me. I'm like, okay. But no, nothing. We just talked about Never Been Kissed, and I think that was it. She was between shows, so she had to go do, for the next show. But yeah,
is she doing movies anymore?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she has time. She's doing her show Monday through Friday.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's where she was getting too close to people, and I was like, oh hell, I'll get too close to her any day of the week. I think she's freaking hilarious.
She's awesome.
Okay, what makes a good guest? Because there are some people that are going to be listening to this that are going to be like, hey, I want to start doing TV segments or I want to be the expert in XYZ. Like, what do you think makes a good guest?
I think someone who is, I don't want to say dynamic, but someone who knows what they're talking about.
Got it.
So I can use you for an example. When you come into the station, you know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
You've thrown a party or two, so
Yeah.
you can hit a grand slam and talk about everything on the table. Like, it's awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think that's good. Some people, when I go through topics with them, on like Zooms, because like we won't give you questions, but we'll give you the topics that we're going to ask. The topic I'll say, we're going to talk about the high crime rate.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And so, if someone says, no, I can't talk about that. Well, I'm like, this is your like area of expertise.
Yeah.
So it's like anything that I throw at you, you should be able to be like, got it. I can do that. Yes.
Does that happen often where people are like they're
sometimes.
just really?
So we'll just have to reframe questions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, like tomorrow we have on in the morning, we have on someone to talk about tariffs, because that's like
interesting.
Right now.
Yeah.
Every day we have to do tariffs. And, I emailed this guy. I'm like, we'd like to talk about retail. We'd like to talk about online, whatever. And he's like, listen, he could talk about anything because this is what he does.
Yeah.
Throw anything at him and he can talk about it. So we love those kind of people, especially political guests, like, political professors in SoCal.
Oh, interesting.
Or political analysts or historians.
Yeah.
Like we can throw anything at them and they just know what to do.
I would imagine too, because the anchors obviously have a pretty good idea of what direction they're going to go. You're talking to, so let's face it. I mean, live TV is live TV.
Yeah.
And
so 100%.
If an anchor is good at what they do, part of being good at what they do is they pivot, and you talk about something and then another question comes out from that. I would think that it would be important for people to pivot or just go off the script. Again, there's not exactly a script, but you know what I mean, where Mr. Tariff could talk about the Greek origin of tariffs, if that's what.
True. I'll tell you, the best guests are the ones that are nervous.
Really?
I don't know why, but it's like the people who are so sure of themselves and overconfident, they'll get on the air and they'll freeze, or they'll say like,
wow.
Yes, thank you for being here today. What do you think about the tariffs? They're great. Oh, no, I'm serious. It's happened before. And you'll have the people who are so nervous and shaky, and they'll get out there and freaking nail it. And like afterwards, I'm like, were you really nervous? They're like, I'm frightened. I'm like, you did so much better than like someone who's been here 3 times.
Isn't that crazy?
Killed it. And they're so good. So it's so weird that like when someone comes in and they're like, I'm nervous, I don't say it, but I'm like, you're going to be great.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a humility thing too. I don't know. Maybe being nervous keeps you kind of on your game, right? I mean, the ones who are like, oh, I've got this, and they're the ones that are maybe not preparing the night before. Yeah. I mean, even if you know your topic, you probably want to look at what's going on in the news for tariff, just to see if anything was breaking. And maybe if you're overconfident, you're like, oh, there's nothing I don't know about it, so I don't need to check the feed. And how do people break through and get a segment on whether it's your show or another booker's show? Like, what's the right way? Do you want to be called? Do you want to be emailed? Do you want to be like, okay,
no calls,
I love that.
Please, no calls.
And why? It's obvious maybe, but why?
Because my mind is in so many different places throughout the day, and it's shocking how many things I can do. That's just how my brain works, and how I can get, like, I can be producing one segment and I get an email that I have to answer, and I need to edit video, and someone else calls me about a Zoom, and I can literally do 4 things at once. And if someone calls me, it's like, what? You can just email me. So it's just like, that interrupts my train of thought.
Got it.
When someone either comes and interrupts me at my desk, or when someone calls me. So if it's on my computer, if it's there, I can kind of compartmentalize and be like, okay, wait, there's an email. I don't have to answer it right now. Phone is immediate. I have to answer it right now. And so some people have this thing at our station, because we have caller ID. Like, if you don't know the number, they won't answer it.
Right.
I'll answer any number. And so some people will be like, hey, Phil, I'm a publicist for blah, blah, blah. And, just want to know if this is the correct email for you.
Oh,
that's fine. I'm like,
I would lose my mind about that.
Fine. But if they say, hey, Phil, I'm from so-and-so, and here, I blah, 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 and they start going and going and going.
Hell no.
I literally say, stop. I said, stop right there. I said, if you email me the pitch, it's easier, because then I can go to my people, my team, and be like, what do you think about this? Here's all the details. Because if you're telling me on the phone, I'm going to be writing stuff down and I'm not going to remember it. So it just helps if people email.
What makes a good pitch? Like, is it truly the subject line is going to catch your attention?
Yes.
Okay. So it's got to be something that piques your interest. What kind of, like, what are some good ones? Or if you can think of anything in particular, what should it contain? Like, should it contain something, the word, how to throw a tariff party, because you're talking tariffs. What gets your attention? Funny stuff, topical stuff? I don't know.
The one word that catches my attention in the subject line of an email is
wait for it.
Celebrity.
I love it. I love it. And isn't that fascinating? It's funny you say that because a million years ago, before I'd ever done TV, and I'd done little tiny things like you get interviewed because something your business is doing. But when I kind of made the decision, like I want to do TV, it's so funny because it's like you pitch and pitch and pitch. Not me necessarily. I had a publicist, but the minute I got celebrity clients and the minute the publicist was like, she's got, all of a sudden was like, when can she come on? And that blows my mind. Like, It was like, I was just, last week before I had the celebrity client, I was still a great event planner, but it's like all of a sudden you just are in a new thing. And do you ever see that changing?
I don't know, because right now our society is like so celebrity obsessed. I should say Los Angeles. I don't know about Miami. I don't know if we were so much celebrity obsessed, but like LA, we are celebrity obsessed.
In Miami, it might be a different kind of celebrity.
100%.
Right?
100%.
It might be whatever.
East Coast is much different.
Tell us East Coast. What do you think?
Well, New York is like, it's like you see a celebrity walking down the street. You're like, okay, great. Here, it's like paparazzi all over the place. People running up for pictures and autographs, and it's a whole thing. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in New York, but it's just, I don't know. I think East Coast, they just have, I don't want to say they have better things to do, but it's different. Plus stuff in LA is just so like lax and people are just at the beach or, walking. It's just so much different.
Yeah.
People seem to have more time here. I don't know.
The other thing is, what do you think of the dawn of the influencer and how much is that, or influencers now, are you lumping that into kind of celebrity?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you a great story.
I would love it.
We had a pitch. This is 2018. This is a long time ago. And the pitch was for this actress. Mm-hmm. Never heard of her before. I don't think I've still heard of her. And the pitch was, she's a fan favorite on whatever show it was.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of her. I said, let me look up.
But did you know the show?
Yes.
So you knew the show.
I didn't watch it, but I just knew of the show. Okay. So I looked her up on Instagram and she had 4,000 followers. And like my best friend has more than 4,000 followers and no one knows who he is. So I'm like, okay, great. Some people do. And no, I wrote back to them and I said, we're passing on this, but thank you so much for sending. They sent me back an email saying, is there any feedback that you can give us as to why? And if you ask me that, I will take the time to give you feedback.
Oh boy.
And I wrote this entire email and I said, first of all, I said, you are saying that your client is a fan favorite. I said, if she was such a fan favorite, I think that she'd have more than 4,000 followers on Instagram. Ooh. Just saying. Mm-hmm. I said, when we're booking people, because at this time, this was before the morning show, like we literally had 2 guest slots a day on the noon and that was it. So I had to book 10 guests a week. And by the way, I get upwards of 400 pitches a day.
Oh my God.
So if I'm getting, close to 2,000 pitches a week for 10 slots, that's a small number. So, I said, what we're looking for are celebrities and big names from our CBS shows, especially. I said, and again, this is years ago. And so I said, for example, your client has 4,000 followers on Instagram. I got a pitch for these guys, Collins and Devin Key. I don't know if you know who they are, but they are mega influencers and they're brothers and they do these crazy YouTube videos.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I never heard of them, but the pitch was like, they have tens of millions of followers on Instagram, hundreds of millions of followers on YouTube. And I'm like, let me look up these guys. And it was true. They did. And I booked them. They came on the show. We posted the segment online and our web traffic went through the roof. And that's what we want. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like can't say celebrity because I don't know if, some influencers are celebrities.
Yeah.
But others I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But they have massive followings.
Okay.
And they get great views.
Okay, so there's a documentary on Netflix that I think just dropped like today, maybe, or yesterday. And I love documentaries. And to me, that's like, and then you marry pop culture or death with a documentary. Merry Christmas. I'm in bed for days. So I forget what it's called, but it's it's how I kind of relax. And I just watched a few minutes of this, and it is of this teen influencer who started at 8 years old on YouTube and created this posse. And her name is like Pilar Michelle or something. Honest to God, I had never, ever, as far as I know, heard of her, seen her. This whole Netflix documentary, this girl gets, they literally, I think, 100 million, or he made at this point 1 billion views collectively. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of her. And I was like, 1 billion views. That's a freaking, I don't think Elton John has 1 billion views.
It's so true.
Right?
Yes,
I mean, seriously. And she has all these views, and they have done an entire Netflix document. I mean, that can't be cheap to do that. Now, I'm only like 10 seconds into it, but I know what you mean. And that's what also starts to make me feel very old. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. I feel so old when I'm getting these pitches and I'm like 16-year-old so-and-so. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. And I look her up and she has like 35 million followers. I'm like, okay, we're going to book her because she's going to post it on her Instagram story that she's going to be on KCAL and people are going to watch and it's going to send ratings through the roof.
Yeah. I love it. Well, any other tips and tricks? Well, let me ask you a question because, I could have you all day. So we'll have to do one about what you would tell publicists. But what do you think about somebody who's just starting out and hasn't done TV before, wants to get on a show like yours in a big market? What would you recommend? I mean, would you recommend they say, hey, I'm going to fly to Tulsa and do a smaller market so that they can build up their reel? Would you say, hey, start posting stuff on Instagram Reels or YouTube or something till you can get your street creds and we can see you? Like, what would you recommend for just starting somewhere?
I would make sure that the person's media trained. And there are people who I've worked with as well that media train you to be a good on-air guest. And yeah, it always helps if you go to a smaller market. Like, for example, if you're in Los Angeles, pitch the Palm Springs market, pitch the Bakersfield market, pitch all the markets around us, still local, and they'll give you a chance. And then build that reel, like you're going to build a resume for an on-air job, and then say, here's an example of Joe on, Good Day Bakersfield, whatever, or Good Day Palm Springs. And, then you can look at it and be like, okay, they're a good guest. They're really well-spoken. They know what they're talking about. Let's have her on.
How important is a reel to you? Like,
we don't watch them unless it's someone like a newsy guest, like someone who's going to talk about tariffs or someone who's going to talk about spring allergies or someone who's going to talk, like that. And we will Google them and watch previous appearances they've done just to see what they're like. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's a terrific idea. And by the way, a really unique one about, because I always think like, oh, you're in LA is such a big thing. And if you haven't done it before, how do you build it? But that's fabulous. Like the Palm Springs market or big, you're right. Because I would imagine they get a lot less pitches.
Yep.
Okay. Any parting shots before I ask you how they can find full of Phil?
No, and like we were talking about, like, publicists, there's really not a lot I would tell publicists. I mean, I basically just,
Oh, come on. I'm sure there's plenty.
I mean, if you're going to send a pitch, first of all, make sure that you have my name right. You don't know how many pitches I get from Paul or Peter. No. People who get the station wrong.
No.
They're like, we're pitching you so-and-so for KTLA. I'm like, I don't work for KTLA. I work for KCAL.
By the way, you will never be on KCAL. I'm just kidding.
And I'm like, I'll be a jerk sometimes. And it's just how I'm feeling. And I'll write back, I'll be like, if you want KTLA, that's not us, but thanks for sending anyway.
Oh,
and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And like, spelling is so huge, especially in a subject line.
Amazing how many people get the spelling wrong. Or you know what drives me insane is when I'm booking the $1 million a night hotel room or something, and it's Mr. Marley Major. I'm like, what? How do we just jump to it's Mr. Marley Major every freaking time? Like, that's when I just go, okay, just don't put any of the Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. or any of, just put Dear Marley, I mean, it's crazy to me, but yeah, certain things send people off the roof.
You'd be surprised. And
I don't think I would be, unfortunately,
But yeah, it's, I always say details. My mentor in college, one of my professors, always told me, she goes, the 3 things that you should have when you are interviewing for a job are nice shoes, clean nails, and a killer resume.
I love it. I love it. I would say a good
Details.
haircut because I'm very big on that. But I know these like
Details,
in LA.
details.
No, I love it. And I think that's fabulous advice to end on. Well, Phil, I cannot thank you enough for doing
God, thank you. And I have to let everyone know that thank you so much for everything you do for us, because there will be times where I'll be like, Marley, I need a party planner in 2 days for a Super Bowl segment. She's like, I got you.
Whoa.
And then you can just kill it with all this stuff. It was amazing.
Okay, well, full disclosure, what Phil is not telling you is that I have said I will be happy to be the sloppy second. I will be happy to be the one, like when somebody cancels the day of, I will take
I will tell you the truth, because anytime someone in our meeting says, what about a Dodgers watch party? I'm like, I got you.
And that was a great one. I'm sorry, the ramen bar and the whole thing for Otani that we did. I got to tell you.
Absolutely fantastic.
I freaking did love that. All right. Well, Phil, how can everybody find you?
So my Instagram is @YourPhilofphil, and that is @YOURFILLOFPHIL. Your Phil of Phil.
Hey, I think I've botched it about 6 times.
And they can see all my celebrity adventures.
Okay. I love it. Phil, I cannot thank you enough. I loved this. I hope you'll come back. I know everybody's going to love listening to all your great stories. And again, thanks for getting the news on every single day so that we can watch it.
By the way, I'm not an Esquire. I'm not anything like a lawyer, but at my old job, one of my old directors started putting Esquire at the end of my name. I don't know why.
Okay, it's hilarious.
It's stuck, and it's still, I use it to this day. So there you go.
When somebody said to me one time, well, the only letters I have after my name are ADHD. That's all I got. There is no MD, PhD, unless, so you got it. All right. Well, I can't thank you enough, Phil, for being on. And I am so grateful for our listeners and our viewers, if you're looking at this on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, follow the show, leave a comment, vote us 5 stars if you're so inclined, and check me out on Instagram @thepartygoddess if you want some fun event planning tips. So, Phil, thank you again.
Thank you.
And you guys have a great day. This was fun. I love my job. Bye.